Our team works really hard at figuring out what can we remove from their burden. When they're doing their pillow talk at night, they are exaggerating all the line items that they don't know for certain. And so if we can put finite numbers to all of their fears, kind of a concierge level service for you, so you literally can just get up and go to work.
Hey everyone, you're listening to the Lively Agent Podcast, where we learn from and tell the stories of the most amazing, badass, and successful thought leaders in real estate. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube, and check us out on Instagram and Facebook as well, where we post content regularly throughout the week. Thanks so much, guys, and I hope you enjoy the episode. What's up, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to the very first episode of the Lively Agent Podcast. Today's guest, I'm extremely excited for. She is a North Carolina native, a wife, mother of 3, former American Idol contestant. She now lives right here in charming Charleston, South Carolina, co-owns her brokerage that has nearly 300 agents, and runs a real estate team that sells over $40 million a year in real estate. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Miss Rebecca Linenger.
Oh.
I'll listen to him go crazy. I had to push the button.
That's good.
Okay, so Rebecca, thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
You are our very first guest on our very first episode.
I feel so honored. I really do.
I'm so excited. And just talking before the show, I know I said we're going to lead off with the American Idol, but that's now in the second spot. Now I hear that you are the radio voice for the church.
Well,
for Seacoast.
Yeah. So when I started at Seacoast, it was in 2002. They were not techy the way they are now. They were not quite as big. And I was actually their very first marketing coordinator. And so at that time, I just started kind of helping with, really, I knew nothing and I was very, very, very low on the totem pole. So I would help with announcements and, all sorts of different things. They call it the dispatch, but video announcements. And so they would just put up any kind of, what's happening in the church on that teleprompter, and then I would read it off for the masses to see.
So I love seeing that because that's like speaking my language.
Yeah.
That's I love in all of business. I don't think there's anything that I enjoy more than that piece of it, which is like connecting to a customer or a client or a listener or whatever that may be, finding some way to pique their interest and their curiosity and get them wanting more of whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah. So
I think that's so cool that you have that background. How has that translated into success now in your current career as a team leader and a broker owner?
Yeah, right from the beginning, I loved the listing side of it. Like that's how I actually got into real estate, is that I was doing some marketing, for some developers in town. And basically they needed someone sitting on site and, representing their new home communities. And so I was incredibly excited about that unique opportunity where I was presenting a neighborhood or presenting a project or, kind of telling the story of whatever it was that they had to present to the public. And so it took me years actually before I ever represented a buyer. I never touched buyers for, I don't know, I wish I had thought of this before, but maybe 5 years in my career.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the marketing side of it, I looked at every single home, every single neighborhood, every single project the same way I did when I developed a marketing campaign for, my clients at the time. I had a freelance marketing gig in between Seacoast and real estate. And I actually did all the marketing here for Help First and some other bit.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I see their stuff.
So, they were teeny at the time. It's amazing to see what that company has grown to. I had no part in that. But yeah, so I just started looking at every single listing the same way I did my companies that I was doing branding for. And I really do think it set me apart early on just because I was using the same kind of algorithms and statistical backing and tracking what was working, what was not working, tweaking little things the same way I did with my branding clients. instead of just kind of sticking a sign in the yard, popping it on an MLS and hoping for the best.
Yep.
I never did that.
Yep.
So it was good. I mean, I enjoyed some early success and it kind of catapulted from there.
And about when was this? Like what year?
So I got licensed at the end of 2005, and my first listing ever was a 22 home neighborhood. My first big project was in 2006, where I was brought on as the co-listing agent for the B Street Lofts.
Okay.
And so that was a, huge 108 unit complex downtown Charleston, super modern at the time, multi-million-dollar project. And and then started doing development from there.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to cut your teeth on that, like you said, on that development side, working with big builders and kind of learning. And then you had the chance to incorporate your marketing side into that. And then that kind of led you into real estate success.
Well, no, that's not. That makes it sound really good, actually, when you say it. Say it more like that.
So quick.
Say it like
so
that.
Quick and easy.
No, actually, I was in high-end new development condos in 2008. Dun, dun, dun.
I was going to say, that's a great time to be in high-end real estate, huh?
It was awful.
Yeah.
So kind of out of desperation and plummeting economy is where I started shifting gears, thinking outside the box, doing things differently. So I guess that was less than 5 years that I then kind of transitioned into more general brokerage.
Okay, gotcha. Now, and I remember you said something about how you one of the things you feel like you're really strong at is finding creative solutions to problems. How has that helped you do you have any specific examples where you've been able to kind of navigate the waters?
I don't know. I probably, if I sat here long enough, could come up with a million examples. I mean, to be honest, I'm negotiating a deal right now where the seller needs to be out. Or the seller wants to stay and the buyer needs to be in the home. Does that make sense? Sorry.
Yep.
And so the seller needs a lease back and we can't come to terms. So it doesn't even matter the price that everybody's willing to pay. The details of this close date aren't working. And so nobody wants to move twice. Nobody wants that. What can we come up with? Materializing this epic Sullivan's Island, vacation rental and figuring out something there. It's not rocket science. It's not that no other agent could possibly come up with something like that. But the way we position it, what we find, how we do it, how we kind of help with that transition is just, okay, you need X, you need Y. How can we bridge the gap? And I feel like I do feel like when people say no, my first instinct is, there's always a way.
There's always a way. There's always a way.
How do we get to a yes? There's usually some creative method here, even when they are a hard stop on either side, that we can figure out a middle ground.
Yep. And it's almost like kind of finding not taking that first no or that first objection, but finding, what's the reason behind the no, right? Is there pride involved? Is there financial stipulations involved, right? Is there, do they have other concerns with moving
and
a
almost
family?
Always it's fear.
Yep.
Almost always it's fear. And really, most of the time that fear is founded. Like it's legitimate, right?
Yep.
I don't want to move twice. My kids are already in school here. I can't fathom putting that on my plate on top of what I have going on at work. I mean, a house transition is a big deal for a family that's already at capacity. So our team works really hard at figuring out what can we remove from their burden. What can we take off of this so that it doesn't feel overwhelming? I have teams of people who can help pack you. Oh, in your mind, you probably think that's thousands of dollars. Let's put an actual dollar amount to that. Because when you do, especially with the connections I've made over the last 15 years, it's not overwhelming. Okay, let's add this, and let's put the pieces together and talk about real numbers. Because what I find is that for most families, when they're doing, we call it the pillow talk, when they're doing their pillow talk at night, they are exaggerating all the line items that they don't know for certain. They want to build in margin and they don't want to be surprised. And so they're creating, I bet the move costs will be $20,000, when in fact they're $6,000 or less, And so if we can put finite numbers to all of their fears, usually it helps to kind of, okay, and I'll do this, and I'll take this off your plate, and I'll manage the contractor that has to come in, and I'll do, kind of a concierge level service for you, so you literally can just get up and go to work.
Concierge, that's the word. That's the word I was thinking of.
Yeah.
And you're right. We dramatize in our minds the unknown. Right?
Always, and we all do.
We think it's worse than it really is.
Right.
Right. It's pretty interesting. It's something we talk a lot about with our team is I'm always driving home. Like you're not a real estate agent. You're a problem solver.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's always, the problem is they need a new home. Right. And we happen to spend a lot of time working on that skill set. But, and here's kind of the classic example is like, if somebody lives in Charleston and they're staying in Charleston and you sell their home, what problem do they now have?
They have to buy a home.
Yeah, right. They're homeless, right? So always and that's obviously a pretty simple one, right? But I kind of put that one out there just to say make sure we're looking at the big picture here, mm-hmm. right? Like there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle, and let's solve those problems, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. Instead of just shooting them oh hey, don't forget to connect your utilities. Like how do we can we do that for them,
right?
Or if we can't, can we at least make it as simple as possible and
mm-hmm.
set the appointment for them,
mm-hmm.
or get them all the information and put everything right in front of them, like you said, like a concierge.
Well, and I mean, it's not their job to do this, right? And so I take that really seriously because I don't want my clients to end our real estate transaction as an expert in real estate. I'm the one spending all day, every day, not only learning what's in the MLS, but as you know, that's a fraction of what we actually do. Yep. So, networking with other agents, knowing what's off market, knowing what's coming down the pipeline, what will be available, whether it's from a competition on the listing standpoint or, for them to then move into. Those are all really, really valuable. And then knowing the appraisers and the inspectors and, how to navigate different issues that arise. I have one right now where I'm using all of my crawl space contacts, right? And I need to know who is really knowledgeable in this space. It's not just going through the phone book and calling the first name. I want to know who is going to represent my client's best interests for years and years to come, right? Yep. So those are really valuable relationships that I think, really just make up their weight in everything else that we do, for sure.
Absolutely. And there's so many steps in the process that it's just like you said, like they shouldn't be an expert in real estate by the time it's over, right? Because I guess really if they are, then they don't really need you or me or an agent, right? If they know all the steps themselves, right? So it's like, just like you said, how do we kind of take that step? And then there's probably, you're looking for a crawl space expert. There's probably multiple other experts that or have had mm-hmm. to find, really in every deal that you do. And you're saving, tons and tons and tons of time and mistakes for your clients, right? That would cost them money.
And right now, 2 of my clients that I'm working with are licensed realtors right this second. So it has nothing to do with the ability for them to put something on MLS or even to search MLS. That is such a misguided approach. And I love that, honestly, that I'm working with people who really get that. Yep. I think right now Zillow is trying to blow up, well, I guess
sure looks that way, huh?
They're just trying to convey the message that level of information, a home that's already marketed publicly for sale, is the entirety of the process. And I think that's a really short-sighted, obviously I know I'm biased, but truthfully, when you look at how I'm spending my days, how my team is spending their days, what's going on in our office, what's happening underneath, the umbrella of the Boulevard Company, that is a fraction of what we do. And I'm probably only doing about 20% of my deals right now from what is post MLS. Most of the things are happening through our network.
Yep.
Through the Boulevard Company, me to you, yep. sharing things yep. that are coming down the pipeline. And, our clients need that inventory when it's a crazy market like we're in right now.
Yep. It's almost like, I wasn't doing real estate, back in the late 80s or the early 90s, but I remember some friends of my parents that were, and that was a huge component of it, which was just who do you know mm-hmm. and what do you know that's for sale? Mm-hmm. And that was a big, just door knocking and going to networking events and mm-hmm. finding out like, hey, who is selling? And now with Zillow, like you said, in the internet, it hasn't been as big of a a service or there hasn't been as much value on that. But now, like you said, knowing that anything that hits the market is going to get 7 offers and probably be under contract.
Oh, my word.
In,
it looks like a concert when you go. I've never seen group gatherings since 2019 until you go to a house and there's a line. Oh my word! It's crazy. It's crazy. The competition right now is out of control. So the Boulevard Company here in Charleston, we have the largest producing real estate office in Charleston.
Whoop, whoop.
It's amazing. And with clear cooperation, we're only allowed to share upcoming listings and inventory coming down the pipeline under the same broker. I don't know, your non-realtor listeners will even know what that means. But what's important about that is it really matters which agency your agent hangs their license with, because we have the largest producing office. So any client that you sign up has access to all of our inventory. And that's just such a value add. It's such a service that nobody else can provide.
It's huge. No, it's huge. Absolutely.
So we're really proud of that.
So, okay, yeah. So the Boulevard Company now, you started that in 2012?
Very end of 2012.
Okay, very end of 2012.
Yep.
Now here we are, 2021.
Crazy.
Closing in on 300 agents.
Crazy.
What's the goal here? Are you thinking global domination or?
No, the goal was 16 agents, Jeremy. The goal was 16 agents. It's so, I have to say, this is something that I am so proud of. But it is not agent count. I could care less about agent count. John and I feel so passionate about the integrity of our agency, about our reputation. The type of agents that we have working with us is beyond humbling. And, I just look around sometimes and get teary-eyed thinking all of these people absolutely are, could own their own brokerages. They are smart. They are driven, they are passionate. Several of them have owned brokerages. We have an unbelievable makeup of agents. And they choose to work here because we're really better together. The detail I just mentioned is huge, but also just the collaboration. And I sit down with someone like you or a Dan Lawrence or a Matt Anderson or whoever.
Legends in the
Donna
game.
Webb. Literally legends. Sophie Gamble. I just learned so much. I'm like absorbing.
Well, that's got to probably be one of the biggest values to you personally, I would think, right? Just all the wealth of information that you have coming your way that you have access to really at any time.
And that is why we started the brokerage. John has a very successful property management company. I have a very active real estate, team, as you mentioned. And the reason we started the Boulevard Company was because we wanted to be networked with very smart and connected realtors. So the fact that it has grown to this and our network is now this, like I said, it's beyond humbling. It is such an honor, and it is not something that I take for granted. Like, I use my network. I call these agents. I learn from them. I'm like, wait, what are you doing? How are you doing that?
Yep.
What's happening over here? You just cannot be an expert at every single thing. And, I team up with brilliant agents in our office if they're in a geographic area that I'm not as familiar with. And I don't know, it's just the best network I could have ever imagined.
No, you guys have done a phenomenal job. And you also provide a lot of just really great, pretty well-rounded training, there's a lot of brokerages that have the similar type of model, like flat fee, 100% commission model. But you really are out on an island. It's like, here you go, figure it out. And, we get updates every week with the new trainings, and we can either Zoom in or show up. Or before COVID, you'd get 40, 50 people, in that little room. You do roundtables. You guys really do a phenomenal job of providing extra value.
Thank you. I wish I could take credit for any of that. That is John. John Librados is a genius, and he is, he's served on every MLS board. He's now in his 30th year in real estate. He is an absolute black and white thinker. He is a genius when it comes to the law and then the ethics behind why we are doing what we're doing. And it's really, I'm overusing this word, but it's humbling that he wants to be in business with me. We have polar opposite skill sets, which has served us very well, because I feel like, when I'm in my wheelhouse, he really loves and respects what I bring to the table. When he's in his wheelhouse, I obviously do the same of him. And we're able to provide a really diverse service to all of our agents because he is keeping us educated and legal and protected.
Keep us out of trouble.
He is. I mean, it's just the training isn't just, kind of checking off the box of training. It's a new form that he helped write that other agencies don't even know exists yet.
Yep.
And we know about it 2 months ahead of time. I mean, it's invaluable, and then agents come to me when they're trying to navigate the nuance of negotiation and how to handle challenging clients and, from someone who's kind of in the field a little bit more. And so we love it. We call ourselves mom and dad.
I was going to say, everyone kind of affectionately refers to you guys as mom and dad.
We take it. It's a role that I enjoy. So
my favorite is when you guys like disagree when you're standing in front of everyone. You disagree on something. That one time it might have happened. Okay, let's circle this back.
Okay,
we need to bring it back. We're 20 minutes in here. We're supposed to lead off with the American Idol. I need to know. How
did you dig this out?
Now it makes so much sense how you would stand in front of so many people, be so comfortable. You have lots of experience doing this. So tell me, what's this all about?
Look,
you were on American Idol. You're a contestant. You have a singing background?
So have you seen Pitch Perfect? Come on.
Jimmy Fallon?
No, the old a cappella movie.
That's Fever Pitch. No. Wrong one.
Yeah, wrong one. So
no, I have not.
In college, I was in an a cappella group.
Okay.
I was big singing background. That was kind of my thing. And before American Idol, you are probably way too young to know, there was another Fox show called Pop Stars. And this is where Pussycat Dolls, Nicole Scherzinger came from.
Really?
And so I drove to D.C. in college, slept on the street, auditioned for Pop Stars, accidentally made it, had no clothes in my car. I mean, the whole thing was hysterical. I ended up auditioning for the dance portion in an old Halloween costume that was in my trunk and literally black electrical tape around my feet because I didn't have shoes. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous.
Rock star in the making story.
I mean, except I didn't quite make the cut. For that one, I think I made it to like top 30. I mean, it was pretty, it was a much smaller show than American Idol, obviously, but I made it pretty far. And so I got the bug. It was all, the rage at that time.
Yep.
I don't even remember what year that was, probably 2000 maybe. And so anyway, when I graduated from college, from Chapel Hill, and moved here, American Idol came to Charleston. And so I did audition.
Okay. I
had a whole team of friends who rallied and kind of forced the issue because they knew of this, obviously amazing pop star story that they would not let me live down. That was all over the place, on the internet and whatever.
Your celebrity status here was already...
Clearly nobody knows that show. It was not, it was a joke. But they pushed for it. And so in maybe 2006, I auditioned for American Idol, got all the way through to Simon.
Really?
And, which at that time... Here.
Would you go to LA?
At that time, actually it was here. It was here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow, okay.
And at that time, that was... I don't know. I don't even know how far through that was, but I was on my sixth audition, I think, fifth or sixth audition. And they put up a picture of Carrie Underwood next to me, and they said, at the end of the day, this is the TV show, and that part has already been cast. And I was so complimented. I'm like, are you kidding me? You think I look like Carrie Underwood? You think I sound like Carrie Underwood? I could care less if I made it through. That's the best compliment you could ever give.
That is awesome.
And that was it. That was the end of my American Idol journey.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it Simon that said that?
Yeah.
Was that his? That was his feedback.
Yep.
So he was saying you're too similar to Carrie Underwood.
I don't know. I was never going to question it because I want to receive that's what he meant.
That's what it was.
So he probably meant, no, you're not good enough. But instead he said it in those words. And I've held on to that as a massive compliment in my life ever since.
No, you know what? That is a compliment because he shoots you straight. If there's anything that he does,
I don't know.
He gives it to you like it is.
I don't know. So anyway, that was the end. It was very short-lived. I mean, it was not Hollywood Week. I didn't do any of that. But the American Idol name even
Hey,
is
yeah.
a funny story
absolutely.
from your 20s.
Well, check the box. I mean, you tried it out.
I
You
don't
did it.
know.
You took your shot.
What would have
What a cool
happened,
story.
Jeremy, if I had actually made it through? Who knows?
Well, the thing is, if you would have made it there, then you wouldn't be on this
I'm so grateful.
this internationally renowned show right here. So
Or maybe I would
everything
be.
works
I don't
out, right? Okay, so we've got about a couple minutes left here. Let's talk a little bit about, one thing that I know that's really important to you, that we're kind of talking about before the show, just emailing back and forth, is like how your faith is very, very important to you. So how has that, and obviously you used to be working marketing for the church, right? And then, so how has that played a role in how you run your business and how you recruit and grow your team, and then how you train those guys and develop
Wow,
them?
that's an awesome question. I really do feel like I'm in my gifting. And I think when I start every day just in gratitude and in prayer and asking God to work through me. I mean, I feel like I'm in my wheelhouse of the gifts and talents that He has given me. And I start every day just asking for Him to use me and be a vessel, right? So, not everyone on my team shares my exact same beliefs, but they definitely share my passion for our clients. And that's how we start any new relationship, which is very important to me, just that we are serving. We are the humble servant leaders. We are here to, kind of create a peace over something that can oftentimes feel very stressful and charged, energetically. And so there are times where that's hard, and I have to remove myself from the heat of whatever's happening, and I have to really just plug back into my faith and pray and ask for that peace to overwhelm me again, because I think it's very important that we are adding that, into this situation. And it definitely affects the way, that we train. You mentioned that, but I'm big into the Enneagram. And kind of knowing people's personality styles. So I study that. I help teach that actually through our church. And, it helps because even just the way one client versus another in the same transaction, a husband and a wife might, kind of receive information differently. So how do we learn and grow and know that maybe the way I speak to her is a little bit different than I speak to him, or the way that I speak to that family is a little bit different than I speak to the other families that I'm working with. And so, those are things that we spend a lot of time kind of cultivating and growing. Everyone on my team does. They've all kind of gotten into the Enneagram with me, which is a different podcast. We can go way deep diving into that later. But
we may have to do that for sure.
But it's just such a powerful tool, because I think that the Lord really equips all of us differently. And it's very important for me to realize that you're not a broken version of me. You are created as Jeremy on purpose, for a purpose. And even if it comes down to the way that we're negotiating or the way that we're communicating, it serves everybody well for me to realize who you are, that you are created that way, and then learn how you best, receive information or work in a negotiation. All of those things, they're really important.
Yeah.
And so we do spend a lot of time kind of focusing on that.
I think that's great. Putting the extra time into the details is the simplest way to put it. I think that's the difference between being good at what you do and being great at what you do. Rebecca, thank you so much. We have last thing. If anybody watching or listening, if they want to learn more about you, come check you out, how can they do that?
RebeccaLinenger.com is my website. That's the easiest. Linenger is a hard last name, but hopefully they can find me.
In the description there. Okay.
And I'm on Instagram, Rebecca Linenger Real Estate. Actually, I don't even know my handle. What is it? RebeccaLinengerRealestate.com.
Is there a dot?
Team.
Is there an underline?
Is there a team? Put that up there. But yeah, you can definitely find me through the website and Instagram. We're pretty active there, and would love to connect with anyone listening.
All right. Well, first episode is in the books. Thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Hey y'all, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like or subscribe or follow or whatever platform you're on. Just push that button to make sure you don't miss the next video. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.